Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about Enneagram Type 8s, the challenger, the asserter, the maverick, the bear. And we're going to look at a list of the best character traits and maybe some of the not so great or some of the worst character traits. So it's going to be good news and also a little bit of bad news, but you can handle it. After all, you're 8s and your superpower is superpower. So let's get into this together. Just a reminder, in the description below is a link to my website, tomlahue.com, where I do offer Enneagram coaching as well as courses on Enneagram related stuff and Enneagram coaching. Please check out that website. I do marriage coaching as well. Enneagram coaching is basically life coaching, but through the perspective or through the lens of the Enneagram. You know, it's a great tool that helps you learn more about yourself. Well, you know, it can be very useful in seeing the path forward and trying to minimize our problems in life and get along better with the people that we love. So check it out. I'd love to work with you. Also, let's man, that's it. Okay, so let's look at this list. Now, this list comes from this book, The Enneagram Made Easy, by Renee Barron and Elizabeth Weigel. Now, there's probably more exhaustive lists out there that you could find in other books. I've got a whole shelf filled with Enneagram books, but this is the one I started with. So years ago, I wish I would have found it back in the 90s when it was written, but years ago, this was the first book that I ever read about the Enneagram. And so I thought, you know, why not come back to the beginning point? And at the beginning of each chapter, it's got a little list of the best characteristics and the worst characteristics of every type. And so, like I said, there may be more exhaustive lists out there, but this is good. Let's go back and if you don't have this book, you should probably get it, especially if you're new to the Enneagram. I've given it away to many people, and so this is like my fourth or fifth copy of this. And I thought, I need to pull this book back out and take a look at it because it's a really great introduction. It is what it is, a really great introduction to the Enneagram if you're just getting started. So we all know about the 8s, right? The tough guy, don't mess with me. I don't know why, but I end up talking with a New York accent when I think about 8s. I do have an 8 wing. It's not my dominant wing. I'm a 7 wing 6. And 8 is kind of hard for me sometimes. It's a little easier when I'm talking or when I'm teaching or when I'm doing stuff like this to get into that 8, or when I'm coaching, I can get a little more challenging. But on my own, like I don't see myself as a boss. I don't see myself as like wanting to give commands. You know, the speaking style of 8s is commands, directives. Just do what I say. You know, I don't naturally like. It's hard for me to. Well, enough about me. Let's talk about you guys. Now, let's start with the picture. One of the things I like about this book is it literally has pictures in it. A lot of Enneagram books, you know, are so serious, and this one's got some cartoons in it. But I just want to take a second and look at that picture of the 8. Okay, do you see that? Look at that picture. Look at his face. Just look at that. It doesn't look very happy, does it? And if you're like, why do people always think I'm mad all the time? Well, I mean, literally the picture. Now, when you look at the 7, it's a happy lady. When you look at the 9, it's like a very peaceful, happy person. But just look at that face, would you? Just take a look at that. That's the perception, right? Of this dude kind of like, this is bull crap. I don't understand why we have to do this. You don't want to hear what I have to say in this meeting. You don't want to. I mean, just notice, like, that's the picture. That's the comic book picture for you guys. Not fair. Not fair. I want retribution. This is ridiculous. All right, so let's look at the best and worst. Let's start with the best. Okay, so here's the list of, this is what's in the list, and then we'll talk about each of these, and then we'll move on to the worst, if you can handle it. You can't handle it. All right. The 8s at their best are direct, authoritative, loyal, energetic, earthy. I like that one. Earthy. Protective and self-confident. Direct, authoritative, loyal, energetic, earthy. Protective and self-confident. All right, let's talk about that first one, direct. What would be the opposite of that? You know what it is. You know what it is because these people drive you crazy. The people that are ambiguous, They send out memos. Clearly, Marvin's the problem. He needs to be fired. They should have let him go a long time ago. But instead of just going and being direct and saying, Marvin, look, man, you got to straighten up. You're going to lose your job. You can't come in at 9 o'clock or whenever you want to. That's direct. And that is so refreshing. That is so beneficial. It is so helpful when everybody's feeling awkward and nobody wants to be the bad guy. It's such a wonderful thing for a person to be able to just tell you straight what the problem is. And this has just got to feel like normal to you. Like, yes, why doesn't everybody do this? If you really care, then you have to be direct. You have to tell the truth. You have to be honest so people can deal with reality the way it is. But no, we got to protect people's feelings because Marvin's going to get his feelings hurt. And so everybody else is so ambiguous. I'm going to send out a memo, a strongly worded memo to the whole team. All right, guys, remember now we're a team. Let's all make sure that we do our best to get in on time. There, I handled it. Surely Marvin will get the message now because I sent out a strongly worded memo to the whole team. That kind of stuff. So ambiguous can be nice, right? Ambiguous is one of the tools of people who have nice person disorder. They just go out there and try to hope that you figure out the hints that I'm laying down. You understand what I'm laying down here? But 8's, I appreciate, and I think we all appreciate at times, a leader who is direct, straightforward, and tells us exactly what the problem is. Now, it could be harsh. It could come across a little bit stingy, a little bit sharp sometimes, and sometimes people overreact or overrespond to that kind of directness. But in a crisis, in a challenge, when nobody knows what to do, when there's a lot of anxiety and panic and everybody's kind of trying to figure out what to do next, we appreciate somebody who's direct, straightforward, and can call the problem what the problem is. I always think about, old Martha over there. She gets to whine and complain. Nobody comes to visit me for Christmas. Nobody even cares. And I just imagine that 8 thinking, we all know that Martha is the problem, but nobody's saying out loud. So Martha can just be terrible. She can treat people terrible. She can manipulate. She can whine and fuss and complain and then blame everybody. But we're not allowed to say, Martha, you're the problem. Martha, you're the reason nobody wants to be here for Christmas. Like, that makes me the bad guy. And I know that that's got to be a little confusing because she can be terrible, but if you call her terrible, then somehow, oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that to Martha. You hurt her feelings. And then they 8 line to 5. I'm done. I'm out of here. Okay, so direct. Number 2, authoritative. Authoritative. It's interesting that the person that might be the most resistant to others being authoritative is themselves quite authoritative at times, or you could say it this way, the person who doesn't want to be controlled is the most focused on control and who has control and where the power center is, where the power dynamic is. Chances are, if you're an 8 and you walk into a meeting and you're brand new to this organization, you can kind of pick up who really has the power, who thinks they have the power, where the real power centers are, because you're very aware, like, I don't want to be controlled by others, so I got to know where that control is. Just like you pick up on people's vulnerability, because vulnerability is something you sometimes have a hard time with, showing your weakness, showing your fears, showing your insecurities. So you tend to pick up on what other people feel very vulnerable about. It's really interesting how this stuff works. If you just walk in and you can tell where the real power centers are and you can tell what people feel embarrassed about, it's part of being an 8, I think. So this natural ability to exude respect, this natural ability to take charge. Now, you may not want to take responsibility. There's a good chance as an 8, I don't want to take responsibility for everybody. I want them to control themselves. I want them to be competent. But I think when push comes to shove, a lot of times 8s just end up sort of the de facto leader. Like, you're not necessarily even seeking to be the one everybody's following, but it's just like, I can't sit here in all of this ambiguity and apprehension trying to decide what we should do. You're the person who's like, okay, this is ridiculous. This is what we need to do. This is what I am doing. If you want to follow me, I don't care, but this is what I'm doing. And that looks like leadership. That inability to sit and collaborate with everybody and deal with everybody's fears and answer everybody in the committee's problems and questions. Like, you can do that, but just notice it doesn't come natural to you. It probably is very difficult for you to sit there in that space, because I imagine there's something within you that's like, this is ridiculous. This is so stupid. Let's just get a plan. Let's start moving forward. Let's start taking action. And when somebody's like that, the rest of us go, well, they seem to know what they're doing. They've got confidence. They seem to have a plan. They seem to. Now, you may or may not really have a plan. I get that. You may just think this is ridiculous sitting here waiting for the sky to open and for God to tell us what to do. Let's just start taking action. Let's start moving forward. And that confidence, that bigness, that directness, that authoritativeness will get other people to line up behind you, whether you want them to or not. You may actually not feel very good about, like, it may be a little bit apprehensive to have all these people following you, but there's probably a part of you that's like, I don't want to follow other people who don't know where they're going. So if they don't know where they're going, get out of the way. Get out of the line. Get out of the line. Okay. So stepping up and taking charge in chaotic situations. It's one of the things we love about you guys. Inspiring confidence in others, encouraging teamwork, collaboration, and then, holding people accountable and moving people forward. 8s are one of the relationship types in the Enneagram, 2s, 5s, and 8s, which is so interesting because 2s, they're the obvious relation type. They move toward people, to build connections with them. 5s move away from people to see the relationship between ideas. Or facts and or systems, and 8s move with people, with them to overcome obstacles and to take the hill. That's so interesting. All right, number 3, loyal. Loyal. Somebody so fiercely independent yet valuing loyalty. 8s can be very loyal to their people, loyal to the people they've decided to bring into their fort, and they expect that same loyalty back from others that have that connection with them. And it can be very hurtful when you don't see that loyalty from the people that you have sacrificed so much. I remember talking to an 8 one time, and she said, it's very frustrating because I feel like I give 110, 150% to the people that I choose to bring into my fort. And then when I don't see them giving back, it feels very frustrating or very disloyal. When here's the statement I say a lot of times to 2s, and it might be helpful for 8s to hear this. You can't care more about people than they care about themselves. You can't care more about them than they care about themselves. And I think 8s sometimes are attracted to 6s because 6s have this loyalty, this desire, to be loyal. Think of like, the leader is an 8 and the 6 is the mass of community that, is holding the signs, supporting our 8 candidate out there. Fiercely independent, but also deeply loyal to those they care about. And, with a ferocity of defending those that are on their team. So remember, 8s are the culture of the mafia. And while the mafia may not be loyal to the rules of the country, they are loyal to their own syndicate, their own syndicate. They will, die and kill for each other to protect their own in that organization. Or so I'm said. The mafia is not real. It's not real. So anyway, they advocate for their friends, family, colleagues, even if it puts them in personal risk, 100%. The 8 is willing to not only be loyal, but to be loyal to the point of risking their own safety at times. Okay. All right. So number 4, energetic, especially 8 wing 7, assertive. You have an 8 assertive type next to a 7 assertive type. That can be a very dynamic, probably the most dynamic person on the Enneagram. What do you mean by dynamic? When they walk into the room, they sort of command the room. They sort of take over the room. And even when they're small people, like it can be a little 5-foot, female, a little tiny 120 pound. But if she's an 8, she walks into the room, everybody knows it. It's kind of like the room exists now. That 7 wing 8, 8 wing 7 stuff, that's a lot of person. That's a lot of assertive energy coming at you. You might learn to be a little more compliant. You might learn to be a little more withdrawn. But this enthusiasm, this intensity, and this belief in your own ability under pressure to get things done is very inspiring. People are drawn to that energy. Now, some people are repelled. Think like magnets. Some people are repelled, but a lot of people are going to be drawn to that energy. They're going to want to suck that energy out of you, like, give me some of that energy. Whatever that person's drinking, I need some of that. And so people are often drawn to that dynamic, powerful, enthusiastic you that you are when you're doing great. So being able to have a lot of stamina, a lot of persistence, and just like that big person, like a bulldozer, like the bull that just pushes through obstacles, overcomes stuff. I mean, realize the threes over there, they're wearing shirts that I'm a lion. I'm going to choose to be a lion. I'm not going to be a sheep. Eights, you guys just are the lions. You don't wear shirts to tell the world that you're lions. You just are. You don't need to like get excited and remind yourself of this. It's just your personality. If you're not, let me call you back into your eight space. If you're going through a bunch of crap right now and you feel defeated, withdrawn, empty, angry, frustrated, you quit your job and you live on a horse farm in Arizona because you're just trying to like get away from it all, and you feel overwhelmed and disempowered and, just very vulnerable and weak and tiny and small, and there's tears about to come into your eyes, let me just remind you, you are an eight. You are an eight. Like, the simple reminder to you is you've faced challenges before. You can do this, just get up, shake it off. Shake it off. You're bigger than this. Get back up and get back into that fight. You can handle this. You're a powerful person. You've been through hard stuff before. Let's go. At your best, you're empowering others. So empower yourself for a minute. Remember who you are. Remember what you're capable of. Don't let these people get the best of you. Don't let them wear you down. Don't let them weaken you. Get back up. Get back into this. Get back engaged in this. It's worth it. You need to have some relationships with people and take them with you on this journey. People are looking to you. I know it gets heavy. You want to rest. You want to relax. You're tired of carrying all the weight. You wish other people would come in around you and support you and strengthen you. And you get exhausted. You get exhausted being the one everybody looks to all the time for direction, for energy, for vitality. But you've got this. You've got this. Come back into that eight space. And remember, you remember who you are. Okay, so energetic. And, like everybody else, you can get overwhelmed. You're a human. It's okay to be a human. It's okay to need a break. It's okay to, you're not weak if you need a break. You're not being weak if you just need some distance or some time away from all of these responsibilities. But when you take that time away, focus on recovering. Focus on recovering and getting back into that driver's seat where you belong. You're not going to be happy. You're not going to be happy, way down at the bottom of the line. It's not you. It's just not you. Okay. So Earthy, the most likely to swear type eights. When I have appointments with eights, you just know you're going to hear a few swear words most of the time because it's just part of it. It's just earthy, like so deeply practical, connected to the physical world, grounded, simple, easy to understand, direct, straightforward, and not trying to win people over with some kind of false reality about themselves. Not into image management. That's threes again. Image management, not eights. Eights, what you see is what you get. There's no pretension here. I'm not trying to be somebody I'm not. Why would I? I'm an eight. What you see is what you get. Number 6, protective. I think love in the mind of an 8 equals protective. And sometimes we can misunderstand this because when an 8 starts telling you what you can and can't do, it's hard to remember that that's coming out of a place of love because they wouldn't want to be told what they can and can't do. But look at them telling you, get out of the street, stand right here, put your hand on the shopping cart. When an 8 is protecting you and ordering you around and telling you what you can and can't do, just remember that you might not like this and you might need to push back a little bit on this because nobody should be told every step that they can take. But just remember that this is coming from a place of love. If I didn't care, I wouldn't tell you what you need to do. I wouldn't command you around, if I didn't care. So the fact that I'm even telling you what you should do is a symbol of my love and care. Protective. Guardians, a strong sense of responsibility to shield the ones they love, especially the vulnerable, the weak, the infant, the toddler, the old person, those who are powerless. And this sense of protectiveness, I think, comes from a deep sense of justice and fairness. And, you're in my fort. And so I took you in my fort. I have to protect you. No, I'm not letting you hold my baby. I don't know who you are. I'm sorry if that offends you. But no, you're not holding my baby. Get your finger out of my baby's mouth. Are you stupid? Do not put your finger in my baby's mouth again. I don't care if they're teething. Stop it. These are some of the conversations that I've heard before in my life. So especially for the underdog who lacks a voice, the disabled, the infant, the toddler, supporting, taking care of, feeling responsible for. It can be hard for an 8 to take responsibility for somebody else, but when they do, they're going to be very protective. Okay. And the last one, number 7, is self-confident. Self-confident. I can do this. Of course I can do this. It's never going to happen to me. Remember the defense strategy of an 8 is denial. So you might watch crime shows and you see this, this girl out there running on the street and a van pulls up and captures her. But the thing an 8 might tell themselves, yeah, I would never happen to me. I'd never let that happen. Never let that happen to me. So this inherent belief that I have these superpowers and these abilities and this great sense of judgment that I'll just not let myself ever be a victim. Yeah. Well, what if, I don't even want to go there. What if it does happen to you? Yikes. That's a difficult, I don't know that I even want to go there. The confidence enables them to take bold actions, make decisions without second guessing themselves. Somebody like myself, 7 wing 6, I got a lot of that 6. So I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, this makes sense. It's a great dream, but what if we can't get the people to line up to do what we should do? What if it's too difficult? And then I start overthinking it. And this causes me to be apprehensive sometimes or to delay moving forward. And I think as an 8, you're of course I can do this. I can handle this. We can handle this. Challenging situations, they exude a calm certainty to those around them, which again makes people want to line up behind you and see you as a leader. So ambitious, determined, goal-driven, with a confidence in your own ability to overcome obstacles and to achieve. It makes people want to be around you. It makes people attracted to you. It makes people ready to follow you and your leadership. So at their best, let me see, I got a little note here. At their best, 8s are dynamic, grounded, inspiring individuals who balance their natural strength and authority with loyalty and protectiveness, making them champions. Good word. Champions for others. This is you at your best. You're not always like this. You're not always like this, but when you are like this, we love it, okay? Their energy and confidence drive them to take on challenges, while their directness and practicality ensure they stay focused on achieving meaningful results. So steadfast, determined, impactful agents who are out there to change the world for good. Bold and courageous, inspiring others. Authentic, true, genuine, earthy, real, mavericks. You at your best. What about the other side? This is where I'm gonna lose you. Oh my gosh, Tom, you're so negative. Okay, well, you're a big person. You can handle this. Let's go there. What are some of the worst characteristics? Well, let's look at the list. You ready for this? Controlling. Oh, that's interesting. You don't want to be controlled. You don't want to be controlled. Number 1 on the list for you at your worst is you are controlling. Well, that's ironic. What an irony. The person who most doesn't want to be controlled becomes controlling. Or let me say it this way too. The person most focused on control and issues of control sometimes is the person in the meeting who's the most out of control. Can you control yourself? Oh my gosh, you can't say that out loud. I know that you're thinking that. I know that you feel that. And I know that you feel like you should share that. But you can't blast Martha in front of everybody in a meeting like that. We all know she's terrible, but you can't say that. Not in front of everybody like the way you did. You're going to lose your job. You're going to be the one that gets disciplined. Not Martha, who deserves discipline. You're going to be the one because you lose control. Because why? You're a reactive type. 4, 6, and 8 are the 3 reactive types. Somebody bumps into you, or you see something that's not going the way it should, or you see somebody that's not pulling their weight, and you react. And what's the problem with that? Well, reacting isn't the same as being strategic. 8s sometimes are not strategic. You want to be a little more strategic, a little more thoughtful and deliberate in your responses. I get why you react. It makes sense. I understand it. But what you want to ask yourself is, do I really need to say this out loud? Am I the one that should say this out loud? Do I need to say this in this setting? Or is there perhaps a better setting, maybe after the meeting in the boss's office, where I could say this? So I need to be a little more strategic, and I need to think about, what is my goal here? What's my goal? If my goal is to move up the ladder in the company and have the best life I can, I got to be careful about the decisions I make and the actions I take. I can't just react because this is bullcrap. This is stupid. This is ridiculous. I can't just react and expect things to go well for me. Now, that could feel a little bit, like a little slimy, a little sleazy. It could feel a little conniving, but it's not a bad move for you as an 8 to pause for a minute before you take action and make sure you're the person who should be taking the action. It might not be your responsibility. Is this problem my problem? Is this my problem? Is it a problem that I need to get involved in? Well, this is ridiculous. They're just sitting around and talking about it. This is so stupid. Let me just get in there and tell them what to do. This may not be yours to handle. Part of that sin of lust is just that way of thinking that I have a right. I have a right to insert myself in here and start changing things. I have a right to just start adjusting things. And this may surprise you sometimes when you get in there and start adjusting and turning knobs and changing things, that people go, whoa, 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 whoa. Who are you? What's your name again? What are you doing? And not everybody's going to line up behind you. Some people, you're going to find resistance. You're going to find people resisting that and pushing back against you. When you're trying to help, I get it. You're trying to help. You got a big heart. You got a big heart in there. It's trying to help, but it's being perceived by others as being, number 1, controlling. It's interesting. The person most resistant to being controlled got to be in control. It's so interesting, isn't it? Micromanaging others sometimes. Really, ones, I think, are more of the micromanagers. Dictating to others how things should be done. Complaining when things aren't done right, or when, people don't carry their weight. And this could make people around you feel a little stifled and undervalued and timid around you because they don't want to fight. They don't want to fight. And so you know what they might do? That's going to frustrate you. It's going to feel like betrayal. They might go to somebody else and say, oh my gosh, did you hear what Lisa said in that meeting? Did you hear? That wasn't right, was it? I don't think she should be talking like that. Let's build a coalition of resistance against her. And that's so frustrating because you're trying to move things forward. You're trying to get things done right. You've got this big heart and you want to see things done on time, correctly. And now you got a little coalition building around you of people with hurt feelings that are going to take you down. And they might just succeed in taking you down, because the complaints they're going to be against you is that you're obnoxious, that you're pushy, that you are controlling, that you're manipulative, like you're insulting, and they go to the right person with those complaints, and they may just flip and get you out, and then you'll really go to 5. I'm done. I am so done. I'm going to a horse farm in Arizona. I'm leaving the world behind me. I'm going to become a wilderness person and just live out there, eating rabbits. And okay, number 2, rebellious. Rebellious. Don't tell me what to do. Hey, you want to go get tacos? Why do you get to decide that if I eat tacos? I don't want tacos. Shut up, Tom. Rebellious. Just kind of that pushback against perceived constraints or fake rules or stupid policies or things that are not reasonable. Pushing back, don't tell me what to do. The rebelliousness stems from this fear of being controlled by others or dominated by others or disempowered by others. And so 8s could very easily get in trouble with the law. You guys, 8-wing 7, 7-wing 8s, you guys could really get in trouble with the law, principals, police officers, because you just don't want somebody to tell you what to do. And then once that fight starts, how do you get out of it? How do you get out of it? How do you back yourself out of this? You might just lean forward even more and add 5 more years to your sentence, because nobody's going to tell me what to do. I'm a tough guy, you see. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. And you could end up, again, not strategic, not being very strategic. If you were strategic, you would do whatever it takes to get out of this, not to double down and make it worse because nobody's going to tell me what to do. Rebellious. Resisting advice sometimes and feedback from people who want to help you, even when it's for your own benefit. Okay, number 3, insensitive. Insensitive. That's just not like taking into account the feelings of others. I think you counter 8s, the social 8s, are a little more likely to be very sensitive, looking a little more like a 6 or maybe even like a 2. But in your desire to, or let's just say it this way, when you're stressed or when you're unhealthy, you might dismiss the feelings and perspective of others. Let me say it like this. If somebody comes against you with a complaint, probably your first response is not like that of a 9. I need to understand this person's perspective. I need to make sure that I'm fully present to this meeting, hearing them and hearing their fears and trying to put myself in their shoes and understand fully their perspective. That's my first responsibility. I'm going to say that's probably not your gut impulse. It's probably more like, this is so stupid. Why do I have to be in this meeting? This is ridiculous. This person doesn't even know what they're talking about. They're not even informed. And you might just kind of bulldoze through conversations or situations if you're not careful, leaving others feeling unheard and disregarded, which may turn them against you and cause problems for you long term. So you want to be careful, strategic, a little more strategic. This insensitivity could rise from your over-focus on strength and power and not being controlled and self-reliance, and you might miss some of the emotional nuances in the room. You might not be aware of them, or if you are aware of them, you might just think this is stupid, this isn't important, this is not valuable information. Who cares if Martha is the boss's daughter? She's being ridiculous and somebody needs to call it out. Okay, number 4, domineering. Again, who doesn't want to be domineered? 8s. And yet you might become the domineering person in the room, trying to get ahead of things, to control situations, to control outcomes, to control dynamics in the group so that it works for your favor. Remember, the sin is lust, right? And part of lust is a loyalty to yourself and to your own outcomes and to what is best for you. So you may impose your will aggressively, believing that you're doing the best thing for the company or the best thing for everybody. But, this could feel a little bit like that right there. This could alienate others away from you that you might need later in your cohort, and damage personal relationships. Number 5, self-centered. What's best for me? What's best for me? I'm not working Saturdays. That's bullcrap. I'm not doing that. You can do that. Um, so excessively focusing on your own needs, your own desires, your own struggles, and disregarding maybe others and their problems and their needs. This is you at your worst. This isn't you at your best. So don't say, I'm not like that. This is bullcrap. Remember, your tendency is to resist everything I'm saying. So if you're sitting there, remember, you have literally the need to be against. So while I'm trying to point these things out to you, there's probably a part of you like, this is stupid. This is stupid. This guy's stupid. This stuff is stupid. All this stuff is stupid. So protecting yourself, survival, self-reliant. What's best for me here? Lacking empathy for others. Empathy makes you vulnerable, and vulnerable is scary for an 8. Number 6, skeptical. Skeptical. Let me say it like this. There's a book that I like by Dr. Phil, which I believe Dr. Phil is an 8. And it's called Life Code. And the whole first third of the book is, he's basically saying, let me tell you all the people in life that are trying to screw you over. And he goes through a list of like all these different types of people out there. The con artist, the manipulator, he's got all these names for them. But basically the first third of the book, or the first fourth of the book, is wake up, people. There's a whole bunch of people out there that are trying to screw you over. You need to wake up and be ready to see these people for what they are, the charlatans and the fakes. Look how skeptical that is. I mean, you're basically starting with, let's play a fight card. I'm going to be ready to play that fight card. You going to play a fight card? We're going to have a fight. You see a good fight? Get in it. Don't even start with me. It starts with just notice. When you look at the wings of an 8, it tells you everything you need to know. 7 and 9. Probably the two, other than a 2 and a self-preservation 6, these are probably the most likely to play a friend card. You're my friend. Everybody's my friend. I like everybody and everybody likes me. Right? I mean, and then right in the middle of that is an 8. They're not your friend, and you need to wake up and see that. It's just very skeptical. It tends to expect the worst out of others. Other people are going to screw you over. Other people are going to try to take advantage of you. And remember, when your sin is lust, you project that into the world like everybody else is like that. But realize all the other types have their own dominant sin that is not lust. But if they did have lust, doesn't it make sense that your posture would be like an 8? Because these people are going to take advantage of you. These people are going to try to get the best of you. These people are going to try to manipulate you for their own advantage. Because you think everybody else's dominant sin is lust like yours, but it's not. Their sin is anger, or their sin is pride, or their sin is deceit. It's an interesting thing when you can realize oh, not everybody thinks the same way I do. Maybe most of the people, and I would say most of the people, the vast majority of people, want to be your friend. Can you let down the guard a little bit? Let us in there and get to know you a little bit? Be a little more vulnerable with us? We want to love you. We're trying to love you. And you want to open that door and receive that love. Not always, what do they mean by this? What are they trying to do here? How are they trying to get the advantage over me? Skeptical. And this can create barriers to relationships. And then number 7, aggressive. Be aggressive. Aggressive, which can be a great thing, right? When we're trying to overcome an obstacle, accomplish a goal, or when there actually is a bully in the room, please be aggressive. Tap, tap, tap. That person's trying to hurt me. Can you go stop that? And that can be a great thing, but right? Under stress, though, 8s, when they feel threatened, they could resort to aggression. Let me just say it this way. What do you feel? Probably rage. Fire, rage, right? Using intimidation to get what you want, or verbal confrontations, or arguing in debate, wearing people down with your debate, physical actions to assert control, threats of violence. This aggression can be a defense mechanism for masking other feelings that don't feel so good, like fear or pain or hurt or loss. And these things could damage relationships if you're not careful. So let me read my notes here. At their worst, type 8s are driven by a deep fear of vulnerability. That is, feeling weak, helpless, indecisive. Mommy, help me. That's vulnerability. Mommy, I need your help. Mommy, please. That's vulnerability. Fear of being controlled by others. These traits reflect their attempts to protect themselves and maintain their independence. Well, it's good to be independent, but you're never really independent. We're all kind of codependent or dependent, interdependent, dependent on one another, and certainly on God. We're all dependent. But they often have an unintended consequence of pushing others away or creating unnecessary conflict in your life. And recognizing these tendencies is great to help you as an 8 not allow these impulses, which work for your good sometimes, to work for your bad in other times. Maybe trying to be a little more vulnerable with people, finding some people that you can trust to open up and maybe share some of these things, like share some of your fears. Share some of your insecurities. This is going to draw people to you. You think it's going to repel them, and they might see that as a weakness that they could take advantage of, but not with people who are really for you, not with people who really love you. You might find that when they see that deep down inside of you, there is just a little girl or a little boy that wants to be loved, that wants to have friends, that wants to be a part of the family, that wants to feel connected. When people see that, because they see you as so different. They see you as big, strong, powerful, self-reliant, don't need anybody, I can handle it. But, there's another side to you that deep down inside, there's a little girl that just wants to be taken care of sometimes. There's a little boy that just gets exhausted having to carry the world on your shoulders sometimes. And I think if we could see that a little more, it's not going to make us be repelled against you or try to manipulate you. It's going to draw us to you. Okay. Number 2 is pause before you react. Take a minute. Take 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2. Count 90 seconds. Say 100 Mississippis or something. I don't know. Pause for just a minute. Before you respond, before you say out loud what you're about to say, realize you can never take it back. You're going to say it out loud and you can never take it back. You're going to get up and you're going to storm out of this meeting and you'll never be able to unwind this. So pause for a minute, take a breath, and be a little more strategic. What's my goal here? Ask yourself that question. What's my goal here? What is my goal? Before I say this out loud, I need to really think about what's my goal here? What is it I'm trying to accomplish? And it might cause you to rethink what you're about to do. In other words, you might say it like this: go to 5 willingly and think about what you're going to do or say before you end up going to 5 because things didn't work out for you. Okay, and withdrawn thinking about things. Some of you will get that. Some of you will be like, what is he talking about? All right, number 3, acknowledge others' feelings. Other people have feelings, and those feelings cause them to move sometimes in directions that are not sensible or logical, but they are important to the person, and we want to try to understand other people. Bob, I can see that you're upset. And I feel bad that, the decision that was made that hurt your feelings and made you feel this way. And I can't imagine how difficult this must be for you. Yet, I'm sorry to tell you. And so acknowledging people's feelings and valuing those is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. Trying to understand other people's perspectives, that 9 wing you have, can be really beneficial in your interactions with people. And then learning to delegate and trusting others a little bit more and believing in them and their abilities could be very beneficial and useful. Okay, guys, that's probably enough. That's enough to work on, right? At your best, you guys are awesome. I mean, fantastic. Warriors, champions. And you sort of build a natural following. At your worst, you can be a tyrant. Yeah. Okay. As always, be present to life. Check out this video if you want more information, or this playlist about type 8s. If you're ready to keep growing, remember, you can reach out to me. I'd love to work with you and your relationships to try to improve those. As soon as you tell me you're an 8 married to a 2, I got a good idea what the problems are going to be in that relationship. I'm here to help you. Be present to life. I'll see you next time.